Second graders. Today for Read Aloud, we're going to continue in our Hey New Kid book, and today we're going to be reading chapter 6. So at the end or in chapter 5, we know he got invited to the skating party for Holly's birthday, um, and we know that he's a little nervous about that. We also know that Miss Harvey gave him some flashcards to practice um, multiplication at home because remember, he doesn't know his multiplication. And he, at the very end of the chapter, he checked the cup to see if his plant had grown. And he asked Miss Harvey, "Do you think it's going to be okay? My seed, I mean." And Miss Harvey said, "Yes, it just takes time, Cody." "How much time do you think it'll take?" "Oh," she said, smiling, "time enough." How much is enough? Cody wondered. And that's where we left off with chapter 5. Now, today, chapter 6 is called To Skate or Not to Skate. Aha! Spoons! His mother was in the kitchen unpacking. The floor was covered with crumpled paper. Pal was sleeping next to one of the boxes. So remember, they just moved. So if you've ever moved, you know how there's lots of boxes and you have to unpack everything. So his mom's unpacking their belongings. "So how was your second day of school?" "I lived," Cody answered. He stepped over the piles of paper and sat down on a kitchen stool. He rubbed Pal's back with his foot. "Well, good," she said. Cody pulled the invitation out of his pocket. "Mom," he said, "I can't go to a skating party on Saturday, can I?" She looked up from the box and smiled a big smile. "Of course you can." "I can?" Cody asked. "I knew you would get along just fine here," she said, beaming. "You're already invited to a birthday party." "Everyone in the class was invited, Mom. It's not a big deal." "I'm just glad that you want to go." "Yeah, I don't think you should let me. I might get hurt." "Oh, it'll be fun," Cody's mom said. "But I might break a leg or an arm or my gallbladder." Now, a gallbladder isn't something you can break. It's inside your body. So it's your arm you can break, your leg you can break, but your gallbladder is not something you break. It's inside of you. She leaned down to the bottom of the box. Cody could only see her legs. "It could be dangerous," he called to the legs. "Aha!" she said. "Steak knives." "Never mind," Cody said, and he stood up. "Wait," she said as she put the steak knives in a drawer. "I have two surprises for you." She led Cody to his room. "Ta-da!" she said. "I finished your room today." His bed was all put together and made up with his baseball bedspread. All the boxes were gone and his clothes were all put away. His baseball glove and ball were on one shelf. His art supplies were on another. It made him glad to see all of his things, but it made him sad too. The room looked so permanent. It means like he's really going to stay there. Like he was really here to stay. "The second surprise," she said, handing him a brown envelope. "It's from Aaron." Cody's heart lifted at the sight of the envelope. After his mother left, he opened it. Inside was a cassette tape. Cody went over to his stereo and put in the tape. Like magic, Aaron's voice came out over the speakers. Okay, let's talk about a cassette tape. When I was a little girl, instead of CDs or you know um, apps and things like that where y'all listen to music, we had tape recorders, and a tape cassette would be about this big, and it had little wheels in the middle, and it had like a tape that ran through it, and you could record messages on it. So if somebody lived in a different state, like his friend Aaron still lives in Kansas, he could record a message, just like I'm recording now, but it would only be his voice. So he could talk to Cody, and then Cody could listen to the tape from the mail that he got in the mail, and then Cody could record a message back to Aaron and then send it in the mail. So instead of writing a letter, they get to talk to each other, but they just can't, they're not talking at the same time. Okay? All right. So he pops it in the tape in his stereo and he pushes play, and now he can hear Aaron's voice. Hello, he said in one long burp. Greetings from the planet Topeka. Cody sat back and listened. Aaron had made the whole tape as if he were living in outer space. Cody closed his eyes and listened to Aaron's voice, pretending that he was with him. He smiled the whole time that he listened. I bet that made him happy to hear his good friend's voice. It made him just feel so good to know that someone, somewhere, knew him, really knew him. He wanted to write a letter to Aaron, but he didn't know what to say. He could tell Aaron that everything was great and that he was really cool and popular here, but somehow he just couldn't do that. Aaron liked the real Cody. Cody got out a piece of paper and began to write. He told Aaron about the times tables and the skating party, and after he finished the letter, he illustrated it. He drew a picture of a boy hiding in the boys' bathroom. And finally, on a blank piece of paper, he wrote, "The Invisible Boy." He put the letter in an envelope and wrote Aaron's address on the outside. After he wrote Topeka, he put down his pencil. Topeka was far away. Aaron and Kate were there, and he was alone. I'm so sad for Cody. He's missing his friends from back where he moved from in Topeka, and now he feels so lonely. He spent the rest of the afternoon helping his mom. He didn't want to stay in his room by himself. After dinner, he worked on the flashcards with his father. 2 times 2. 4, Cody answered. Great, his dad said. Practice makes perfect. Cody had already learned that anything times 1 is always the same number, and anything times 0 is always 0. They practiced until bedtime. Now remember, Cody, his father said as he tucked him into bed, to be or not to be, that is the question. Cody laid in his bed and tried to fall asleep. He couldn't. He could only think about school. He tried to count sheep, but he could only imagine teddy bears marching around his room. He tried to count the teddy bears, and he could only imagine them on roller skates. Another question lingered in his mind. To skate or not to skate? That was the real question. And that's the end of the chapter. So tomorrow will be chapter 7. What do you think? Do you think Cody is going to go to the party and try to skate? Do you think he's going to tell his friends that he really doesn't know how to skate? Because remember, he told them he's a world champion skater, but yet he's never been on skates. So what do you think is going to happen? Will he skate or will he not skate?